Now, a similar question came up asking if I could give an overview of the black nobility. What does this refer to? Well, if you know something about history, there have been fights going back to the 13th century over who would control the Holy Roman Empire, which was the merger of the Catholic Church and the states of mostly Central Europe and Spain. You had the Guelphs and the Black Guelphs, which was a nobility that tried to assert its control. This was largely an old Roman aristocracy with families which still exist, like Colonna, Orsini, Pallavicini. It moved into Venice in the 13th century or so and became the Venetian Empire, which at one time was the leading trade empire in the world and one of the most treacherous. If you want to understand what Venice was about, look at Shakespeare's great play, The Merchant of Venice, or Othello, and you get a very clear picture of what the usurious trade policies of the Venetians were. Now, Venice, if you look on a map, is not a very good place to run a world empire. And so this nobility chose the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and then moved to London and took control there with the 1688 Great Revolution. The emergence of the British monarchy as the center of the empire was run through companies such as the British East India Company. And that became the basis of the empire. Now, in its modern version, the black nobility is a reference to the manipulations in the 1870s in Rome having to do with the Vatican. There's some people who are saying the Vatican runs all of this. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at where the power is coming from this nobility, which asserts its right based on birth, that is, its birthright, to rule and run the world, it's now centered in London, with Wall Street as a secondary function. And the US military is being used to enforce this empire. And the black nobility is a reference to the idea of people who will rule the world through war, through chaos, through control of financial means, through trade, and so on. And this is an oligarchy which runs the city of London today, and through interrelationships of corporate cartels has a dominant role to play in US policy. This is who Donald Trump ran to displace. His idea of working with Russia, working with China, of ending the endless wars is an existential threat to the continuing power of this empire. And so if people want to look more into this, you can go on to the larouchepub.com site and you can look up the Venetian Empire or a lengthy report we did on the rise and fall of the British Empire.